How do you see the shift in customer behavior and the changes in advertising industry, and how marketers should be prepared for the AI thing to actually happen?
We've been using this AI thing all along. It's not some new thing.
Coming back, what made you to be like, okay, I'm done with this job?
I didn't want to be a CEO, or I didn't want to be some big deal.
Why do you care so much for creating million jobs?
Because when I was a young adult and I didn't know how to make friends and I didn't know how to talk and I was very shy and my English was bad.
What is like the big mistake you have learned the most from, if you could point out one?
Choose that one goal you want to achieve and have a mentor who's done that one thing. I made the mistake of trying to do too many things.
What's going on? What's going on, everybody who's actually listening to this podcast right now? First of all, guys, welcome back to the Nikhil Sai Show, which is hosted by me, the Nikhil Sai. And guess what's going on today? We're back with another amazing guest. And today, the guy we have on the show will blow your mind, especially if you are someone who is actually marketing and advertising and you're curious about what's happening in the advertising space with AI and what's changing and what's not, how you could actually be profitable with the highest CPMs ever, especially in the Q4 of 2020. This podcast will blow you up. The guy who's actually jumping on has spent over $1 billion in advertising, and he's also a research engineer at Yahoo, and he's been on multiple stages over 7 times, and he's traveled 17 different countries, and he's been around the world teaching the stuff we are going to talk about. His roots are in actually mentoring and teaching people and create more jobs online. So guys, let's not actually waste any time, and actually let's welcome the CEO of Blitz Metrics himself, Dennis Yu. Dennis?
Hey Nick, what's going on? Yeah, the traveling thing. I was in Dallas 2 days ago as the closing keynote. I was in South America 3 days ago. I was in Dubai a week ago, in Curacao a week and a half ago, and in a couple of days I'm going to be in 10 countries in 10 weeks. So a lot, and it's not what people think it is. It is.
Wow, in terms of traveling and, the kind of speed you're running into countries, you're competing with billionaires right there. That's a hustler. And guys, just to
I travel more than billionaires. I'm competing with flight attendants.
You would be a multi-millionaire if you would be like a pilot already.
I have spent millions of dollars on travel. How about that? $1 million every year on travel for the last 30 years. So, I'm a 7-figure travel expense guy.
That's just travel expense, just to be clear. And we have many more. Now, Dennis, I really want to appreciate you, first of all, taking time on Saturday morning in California. Crazy. I mean, you have busy schedule, and appreciate you jumping on today. I think it's going to be fun talk for sure. So let's really get started. I mean, the vast experience you brought to the market space, and, we will definitely get into the technical questions later part of this episode. But I would really like to kind of understand where you're coming from, the roots. Would you mind getting started with your backstory and help us understand who you truly were?
Yeah, I'm an Asian math guy, and I did really well at math because I didn't speak much English. And so, long story short, I became an engineer, and I was there at the beginning at Yahoo, and I built the analytics, and that means busting people trying to trick us. And also, on behalf of Yahoo, we built the ad serving, me, John Kristadak, some of these other people.
Mm-hmm.
So we figured out what ads to show people because we had a database of 200 million people. This is before Google.
Mm-hmm.
And so I learned a lot about SEO, and I was probably the biggest PPC spender on the planet, just because I had the budget for Yahoo, where we bought ads from AOL back when that was the big thing. And when Google came on, we were one of the largest spenders because we were like, you would buy a TV and you'd put in the model name, and I would buy those keywords. I had millions of keywords, and every time you'd search for that on Google, I'd send that to a Yahoo property. And because the display URL was yahoo.com, my quality score was a 10. People would trust that. So I was doing arbitrage. We built like Yahoo Personals, which is a dating website, took that from nothing to $1 million, or I like doing almost $1 million a week. Then we were doing $100 million a year. People would claim, well, that's because they had the yahoo.com homepage. So anything you promote on the Yahoo, that homepage would generate a lot of traffic.
Mm-hmm.
But I've come at it from the standpoint of an engineer on data and protecting the search results from the SEO scamming people trying to trick us. So I have a very different view of PPC and SEO because I came from the search engine side. And I left Yahoo 18 years ago. Geez, it's been a long time. And since then, I've spent $1 billion of other people's money, Starbucks, Nike, Red Bull. I can name all these other brands, and because I know what it's like on the other side. And so I think there's no mystery with SEO. I think there's no mystery with how you run ads. There is no secret. It's all very straightforward. It's very simple.
That's really fascinating to see. Like, I would like to ask directly the main question here, especially with how people were consuming content. It's morely short form now, and how people are searching for answers. Like ChatGPT, Bard AI, and all of this stuff. How do you see the shift in customer behavior and the changes in advertising industry, and how marketers should be prepared for the AI thing to actually happen? How do you go about that?
We've been using this AI thing all along. It's not some new thing. When you are looking at TV shows on Netflix, the AI is making recommendations for you. When you're scrolling in the newsfeed, when you're driving your car, or the Tesla is on, whatever, self-driving, the AI is already doing these things. You're talking to Alexa, the Roomba is going around your house, vacuuming the dust. The AI is there, but the big tech companies have intentionally held back because, Jeff Bezos, he wants to have everything. He wants to be listening inside your house when you're talking. And when you say, hey Siri or whatever, it's listening all the time. So they're being friendly right now to make themselves seem innocuous, but the technology and the power has always been there. I know this because we would give data to the federal government because they'd make these requests. I would go to jail if our team didn't do that. So I've known for 20 years, we've already had this. And only now, for some reason, people have decided that this is a big deal. So what this means is that there's tools that we can all use. And the ChatGPT or whatever, yes, it's a very cool tool. There's all these things. We can talk about that. But understand, it's just nothing more than an extension of Microsoft Office or the paperclip that makes recommendations to, it looks like you're making a resume. Would you like to use our template? Yes. Or when you have photos in Google Photos and it says, hey, here's a collage I made automatically of your trip to Dubai last week, right? Here's pictures and photos. Like all of that stuff is built in. It's already been there, but because of the acceleration of people using these tools now, you're going to see the rise of intelligent agents. So some people call them co-pilots, or there's plugins to ChatGPT. So now it's not just LLMs, large language models that are generating content, which are great for conversation, but it's actually taking action. So every single tool that you use, maybe you use Infusionsoft or HubSpot, to run your campaigns. Maybe you have stuff with WordPress or WordPress plugins. All of those things have AI built into them. So while you can use standalone tools to deep fake your voice, to run marketing campaigns, to tune your ads, it's actually going to be built into tools that you're already using. And that's what's going to surprise people. At least the people in marketing, which is, you and I both talk to a lot of entrepreneurs that are trying to do great things on the internet and use ClickFunnels and whatnot. They're going to be surprised that it's not coming from the ChatGPT. It's coming from the tools. It's baked into the tools you're already using.
Yeah, that's really deep answering. And yeah, it's just a realization that it's already around us. It's just about how much exposure we are giving it and how immersed we are with the technology and whatnot. Now, Dennis, I have a deep question for you. Being like one of the early engineers at Yahoo and building the technology like from ground up and launching products and scaling, that's like a very big role. I'm sure the payoff was also big, if I'm not mistaken. But coming back, what made you to be like, okay, I'm done with this job. Let me actually go and be the CEO of Blitz Metrics. Like, what made you to make that move? What was that click moment?
I didn't want to be a CEO. I didn't want to be some big deal. I didn't want to be famous. When I was at Yahoo, we would have to send people to go speak at conferences. And other engineers, they didn't want to go speak. So they would send me because I was okay. I'm like the most willing to speak of the introverts. So I would speak at these conferences and ask, I'd listen to people ask questions about SEO and these basic sorts of questions. How do I tune my ads? Oh, can you look at my ad campaigns? So it became just, when you speak well, I guess, or if they like you at a conference, they invite you again.
For sure.
To keep speaking. So I started speaking more and more. And, I'm one of the few people that's made 7-figure speaking, but I don't consider myself a speaker. I mean, I've done a lot of speaking. I check all the boxes where, of the people who are successful speakers, I've checked all those boxes. But I'm not doing that as a career. I don't do it for the money. I don't do it because I'm trying to be famous. I'm not trying to be a big CEO. I'm not trying to, drive Lamborghinis to show everybody or fly first class. Like, I've done all those things, but I don't show that, right? Because that's not what I stand for. I stand for creating jobs. I believe in mentorship. We've got our mission of creating 1 million jobs, and we're a quarter of the way there, which is really cool because of our friends like John Jonas, who runs onlinejobs.com, our friends at Fiverr and Upwork, friends at LinkedIn and GoDaddy. We've created a lot of training programs. We have a textbook that's in 8 universities teaching social media and digital marketing. So that's what I really care about. So I speak because it allows me, for example, I'll be in Pakistan next month, and I'll be speaking at Connected Pakistan in front of 30,000 people. And we're going to be teaching Pakistanis how they can make $500 a month by being able to implement what we teach using these tools, $1 a day, Content Factory. And then I'm speaking at conferences in the US for real estate agents or for chiropractors or med spa or whatever local service saying, hey, these techniques that we're teaching, you can do it yourself and send your son or daughter through that. But you can also hire people from Pakistan and the Philippines and Kosovo and other places that are developing countries where these people are making. I was in South America 3 days ago. You know how much the average person in Suriname makes?
I don't have a very perfect answer for that.
What? Not even $100, right? And if you're decent at marketing, maybe you make $300, maybe you make $500 a month. What if we teach these people our techniques on how we set up digital plumbing with all the different pixels, and how we edit 1-minute videos using Descript and these other tools, on how we do retargeting via customers and leads bridge, and how we organize everything inside Basecamp and these other kinds of tools, and how we use ChatGPT to be able to edit content to turn podcasts into YouTubes with chapters automatically done, and how do you create a best-selling book? I have the best-selling book in social media using AI tools to generate that. What if we could teach these folks who were making $100 a month how to make $500 a month or $1,000 a month? And what if we train up 1 million of them to help our business owners here in the U.S.?
Wow, that's
why I'm doing this.
Why do you care so much for creating million jobs? What is like that thing which clicked you to create actually that mission statement for your life?
Because when I was a young adult and I didn't know how to make friends and I didn't know how to talk and I was very shy and my English was bad and I was applying for jobs and I couldn't get them and I had a great resume, I had great test scores and all of this, I had a mentor who helped me and explained to me that it was about relationships, that it was about things that you didn't know that you didn't know, instead of the things that you know you don't know. It's expanding my mind, understanding my blind spots, and that CEO was the CEO of American Airlines who mentored me. And so I got my first job working at the airlines almost 30 years ago. I built AA.com, which is the website for American Airlines, and all the other things that were tied to that. So I could never pay back that mentorship debt. So the best I could do was, how do I replicate that experience for other young adults and other young business owners so that they could have, so it was a mentor to a lot of people, but I could only mentor so many people myself. What if we created a program where other people who were successful could mentor others? And this is not a new idea, because if you wanted, Nick, if you wanted to be a locksmith, you would be an apprentice for a locksmith for 3 or 4 years. Or if you wanted to, be a baker or a cobbler, you'd work for 3 or 4 years as an apprentice under someone who was a master plumber, locksmith, baker, whatever butcher, whatever they were. That's how it's always been in the history of mankind. Before the modern college, MBA, internet marketing, learned from somebody online, Russell Brunson. Before that, the history of the world has always been you study under a mentor to learn that skill directly. Not you go pay $10,000 to go to some weekend thing and then they promise that you're going to be successful. If you buy my secret course online right now, only 3 left, you have to buy now. Whatever it is. Before the days of all this ClickFunnels, sell you riches stuff, there was no secret. You wanted to be a butcher, you would work for the butcher, right? And you would learn how to cut meat for a few years. And you wouldn't make a lot of money. It wasn't glamorous. But after a few years of working for the butcher, and you wouldn't make as much money because this is your university to learn. Instead of you paying us to learn how to be a butcher, the secrets of how to cut the cow up when it's dead. No, it's not a secret. There's no secret to flying the airplane, right? You and I, we fly on airplanes all the time. Are you afraid that the pilot is, he has some secret on how he's flying the airplane? Or did he have to go to years and years of training and get certified, right? If you, God forbid, you have to go to the hospital because you have an injury, right? Maybe you got in a car accident, something happened. Is it a secret what the doctor is doing if they're doing a surgery or something? No. So is it a secret with internet marketing? So I believe in the apprentice model. The mentorship model is not some new thing I invented. I'm using something that's been there since the beginning of time. It's only in the last 2 years that people decided that forget the mentorship apprentice model. Let's try this new, you can make money. You can get rich really quick. If you just pay me a bunch of money, I can make this passive income and make millions of dollars per month selling my coaching and whatever kinds of programs. The rise of this internet scammer entrepreneur guru has made it so that, people have forgotten what the reality has always been. The history of the world has always been mentorship from someone who has done it, not someone who has Lamborghinis. And no offense, you have your 2 club awards and you have all the, I have all these kinds of awards too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you don't see me talking about them, right? You see me talking about my students. You see me talking about other entrepreneurs that are doing great things. I love.
What do you see like the main problem, the core problem in the traditional way of education? It could be the traditional schooling or the traditional coaching industry. If you could actually make a suggestion to make it better, what would that be?
That's not even traditional. This thing from the last 100 years of college degrees or whatever, that's not traditional. That's only in the last 200 years. Before the internet made it so that people could come online and start, cold emailing people and whatever, making promises to get people to pay money up front. It was always about mentorship from someone who has done that particular thing. So I see a lot of people, the majority of people that are selling online digital marketing, social media influence or whatever, the majority of those people have not achieved the thing that they are selling. They do not have the skill that they are selling. So you want to coach successful 7-figure entrepreneurs on how to double their business? If you're not a successful 7-figure entrepreneur yourself, you can't be doing that. If you are obese, you cannot be a weight loss coach. I'm sure the advice you have is good, but unfortunately, what you say and what you do with your body are different. Yeah. The majority of people who are saying things online do not have. This one girl approached me and she said, I've got a course on how to be millionaires. How to be a millionaire. Can you run my Facebook ads? Because I know you're really good at running ads. And I said, sure. And she said, okay, great. How much? $1 million. But I only have like $2,000. Maybe spend, I'll give you equity in the company, but, if I can pay you like $2,000 maybe. And I said, well, you need to take the course on how to be a millionaire, then come back to me. And they're all like that. The reason why you laugh is because you know it's true. You and I are behind the scenes. We know what the reality is. There's a lot of people, they think they can say whatever on the internet, because if I can just repeat what Ed Milet and Richard Brunson and whoever you name it, Dan Henry, all these people with 2 first names, if I can repeat what the people with 2 first names keep saying, then I can be like that too. And it creates this shortcut, which is just unfortunately not how the world works.
Yeah, your experience is
I've been at this for 30 years, Nick.
No, but
I'm old, right? I've been doing this before a lot of people were born,
So I love that.
Yeah. Well, marketing's been a thing since the beginning of time. Just the internet has changed things to create a lot of people who believe it's easy to make a lot of money with no effort. Because if you're not like my buddy Caleb Box made a video yesterday, he's big on YouTube. And he's teaching all these other people how to grow these, YouTube channels. And he made a video yesterday saying that there's this perception that if you're not making $10,000 a month, you're a loser. Well, everyone I know that started out in internet marketing, it took them a year or two to make $10,000 to learn how to do it appropriately and not have refunds and actually deliver. So all the gurus are trying to sell you the idea that, oh, you should be making $10,000. If you just started, you should be making $10,000 a month by next month.
That is so true.
You fail.
Yeah, the dream is pushed onto the people who cannot even achieve, and you're not training on them the basic skills they require to actually achieve that success. So even if they achieve it, they wouldn't be able to hold on to it because it's just a fluke. They got lucky. And you just show that one case study which got lucky, but the method is mad. It doesn't work every time. There's no sense in promoting it in the first place. That is so true. I mean, I'm just like, my mind is thinking about all the people right now, you're talking about. I'm just like, wow, this is just so true.
Yeah, they're almost all frauds. I meet them and I'm friendly with them, but they're almost all fraudulent. I'll tell you who is legitimate and why and how to spot them, okay? I was in Dallas yesterday with Roger Wakefield. He came and spoke. I was the closing keynote at DigiMarcon, and I invited him. And Roger Wakefield has 100 million views on YouTube. He has a big YouTube. He has a big TikTok. He checks all the boxes of being an influencer. And if you have done any kind of search on YouTube, for example, on how to fix a broken toilet or how to be a plumber, then you've probably seen his videos, right? So I invited him to be on stage. And I asked him to explain how he became a big deal. And basically, he was a plumber, and he still is a plumber. He runs a plumbing company. He has vans of people that go around and fix people's toilets and lay pipes and this kind of thing. And because he was a successful plumber and built a successful plumbing company, he could make videos about how do you fix this leak? What happens when you try to put too much toilet paper and flush the toilet and it overflows? What do you do? He's showing and it's funny the way he does it, right? He makes these funny videos. But it's because he actually is a real plumber. He's not playing one on TV. He's not talking about, hey, you can make $100,000 a year learning plumbing secrets. Many people, if you ask anyone who's a plumber, who's Roger Wakefield, they know him because they've seen his videos and they know his mission is to create jobs in the trades. He wants to help thousands, hundreds of thousands of people become plumbers and make $100,000 a year instead of going to college, right? Think of these young adults that don't want to go to college. You can be a plumber, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people have done that successfully, becoming plumbers, going through his training, right? It's amazing. And I interviewed him on stage about that. And we wrote a book together live on stage using ChatGPT and these other tools. We created the book cover. We created Facebook ads promoting it. We put out the outline. Because ChatGPT knows that he and I have a common mission. Because I asked ChatGPT, who is Roger Wakefield? And it said, Roger Wakefield is a successful plumber. He does all these things. Who is Dennis Yu? Well, Dennis Yu has done this and this trying to create jobs. And I'm asking ChatGPT, what do Roger Wakefield and Dennis Yu have in common? Both of them are trying to create jobs for young adults. Okay, then ChatGPT, what should the title of our book be if Roger and I created a book? It should be something about plumber, digital plumbing or what did it call? I said, give me like 3 or 4 choices. It said plumbing mastery, how, plumbers can from pipes to clicks or something like that, about the play on words on he's an actual plumber and I do digital plumbing, which is all the tracking data and whatnot. And here's the checklist that he and I both have. And the ChatGPT wrote that into a book for a framework for anyone who's a plumber, anyone who wants to be a plumber, or anyone wants to serve plumbers to be able to follow step by step, no magic. Because you could ask it, ChatGPT, following Dennis's $1 a day strategy, how would you apply that to people who are plumbers? Well, as of my data cut off in April 2020, here's what I know, and here's how I would adapt it to
that's so
plumbers.
fascinating that you
The whole
actually
thing
are
of it
the
now,
magician.
that's real. It's from someone who's done it. I have spent the money in ads. I have got my hands dirty. I'm not a salesperson. I'm an engineer. He actually has fixed toilets.
I think
he's not just talking about how you can be rich, being a plumber. Do you see the difference there? We need people who have actually done the thing,
to see people
sharing how they did it.
Speaking about this, because
that's simple.
You need talkers who walk the walk, not just talking the talk. And I think this is so legit, and I believe this message should be passed to more people. And whenever somebody is making a purchase, you need to really verify that they actually walk the pathway they're asking us to walk. Like, you're asking me to run Facebook ads, but if your ad account is not running ads, then what is the contradiction here? Like, why one of us is lying? Like, either I will not be successful, or
because they're in sales. They're now in sales. Maybe they did achieve something 10 years ago, but now they're so busy in sales that it's occupied. They talk about how busy their calendar is, and they book 10 sales calls today.
In your company,
they have a big sales team, and they have a sales manager. Do you know how many salespeople?
I mean, looking at your face, I might make a wild guess of 0.
In my company, 0. Okay, good. And so I've spoken on lots of stages as an example. And most people, they have to pitch. They have to fill out a speaker application or whatever to speak at some place. And if you're good, you probably get in a third of the time if you want to speak at a big conference, right? And if I've spoken at 800 of these,
0, like you don't make calls to actions. It's like you just deposit the goodwill and you let it come back. It looks like.
Yeah, and Nick, how many times do you think I've been?
The way you're framing it sounds like 0 too. So like, yeah,
0, right? How many sales calls or cold emails or hey, let's get on a 15-minute call to discover what? How many of those have I done in my entire career? 0. Yeah, but then how do you get these big clients? People say, well, but how did you get Adidas as a client or Ashley Furniture, or how did you name the big company? How did you get them as a client? If you weren't doing all the sales callings and making all the funnels, asking people, hey, if you just put in your email, I'm going to tell you the 5 secrets. Put in your email address right now and also book a call, a free call. I'm not doing that.
What is the secret?
Then how come we're getting these clients?
So the
secret is you do good work and the clients talk about you. So when we were doing the Golden State Warriors and ran their Facebook ads for 5.5 years and their Google ads and their analytics, the NBA talked about us. Mark Zuckerberg talked about us on stage. And when I was asked to be a keynote at a big conference where Richard Branson was the opening keynote the year before, they wanted me to be the opening keynote. I said, yeah, I can be the opening keynote at this big stadium in Europe. But why don't you put the head of marketing at the Golden State Warriors and have him be the opening keynote? And I'll introduce him. How about that? And so by elevating our clients, putting them on podcasts. So if you Google me and you see whose podcasts I've been on, and if you see who I've invited on my podcast, most of those are clients. Like, oh, Dennis is interviewing this big deal. It's a client. And I'm not even saying how good I am. I'm elevating them on how good they are. I love talking about how our clients are achieving success. And I never make it about, and I never even mention that they're a client. Like, don't you think that makes no sense, Nick? I mean, if I want to get more clients, I should mention how
you're in front of place of abundance.
I should tell everybody, right?
Yeah, you just
instead,
have a lot of
I'm on his podcast, he's on my podcast.
See that. And most marketeers right now, they're scared.
Yeah, there's abundance, but I'll tell you one thing. This is what's key for anyone who's watching. So let's say, Nick, you unfortunately get injured. Maybe you go to the beach and you hit this. Your surfboard hits your head, okay? And you go to the emergency room. Right?
SF, and I'm waiting for a doctor.
What happens when you go to the emergency room? Yeah. So you're there and they say, okay, if it's really urgent, we'll go in there. And then what do? They take x-rays, they look at your blood, they scan all these things. They're not just going to start
they might
operating,
clean it,
right?
but they're not.
Let's say that you have blood on your head.
Make sure that
are they going to just start operating first?
Got my brain, nerves are clear or not, what kind of medication?
You're going to take some x-rays, you're going to scan everything, they're going to take the metrics first. I could come in and say, no, I have a heart attack, we need to do heart surgery right now, right? And are they going to wheel me in and have the cardiac surgeon start doing heart surgery?
That's not how it goes.
No, but I say it's a heart attack, I really need heart surgery. No, that's right, because what happens is the doctor, they'll say, okay, and they're going to scan everything, and they'll say, yeah, it looks like you have heartburn. You ate too much Mexican food, spicy. So you should just take a Tums. You don't need heart surgery. But in the marketing space, for some reason, there's 2 things that are broken. A, the client feels that they can make the prescription or the diagnosis on what needs to be done. The doctor needs to say, based on metric. Number 2, it needs to be based on metrics, on what's actually broken. Because if you have a hammer, everything's a nail. If someone wants to, let's say you came into my emergency room and, you hit your head on the surfboard when you were surfing. And I said, you know what, Nick? I can do the surgery to fix your head or whatever it is, but I can offer you a liver transplant for half off right now. What do you say? You really need a liver transplant. You're like, no, okay, let's fix the actual problem. But if all you know is how to sell one thing, you're going to try to sell that one thing to everybody, right? Whether they need it or not. And that's the fraud that's occurring in digital marketing. Because people are like, well, I guess maybe I do need a liver surgery. Yeah. Okay. I guess it's on sale. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll buy it. Sounds good. You know, but here's the biggest thing. Here's the biggest problem. And I'm serious. People laugh about this.
For sure.
But if you're trying to drive leads and sales, which I know is something you do with your company, you're helping people generate more leads. Well, we generate leads for ourselves and for our agencies that we're involved with because we're like the emergency room. So does the emergency room have, billboards everywhere or have all these doctors and nurses knocking on everybody's doors? Come to my emergency room. It's on sale on Friday in the emergency room. All the services are half off. They don't do that. They don't. Why? You know why? It's because they wait for people to come into the emergency room. And by the time you come to the emergency room, are there a bunch of salespeople trying to convince you and upsell you and all this? I mean, the emergency room could make, the hospital could make more money if they'll
go to jail.
Found a way to
go to jail.
Salespeople in the hospital, right? Why aren't there salespeople in the hospital? Yeah. So what happens is if you develop a reputation, if you have a clear process, here it's this simple. If you publish how you do what you do and you share, you elevate the success. Anyone else who has like, I have a foot problem. I'm going to go to the hospital that's famous for working on people's feet or whatever it is. Or I have, a dentist. My teeth are crooked. And all these other people, their teeth were bad, but it got fixed. I'm going to go to that same place. But the people who do marketing are not willing, or maybe they don't have the good reputation yet. If you don't have a good reputation, then okay, maybe you have to do all the scammy SEO, lead gen stuff that we see 99% of people doing. But if you're actually a good business owner, I have a friend here who owns Pure Plumbing. He's a $13 million a year plumbing company. And he was spending $100 a month with these online marketers who just wasted the money on SEO. Actually didn't even just pocketed the money. And this guy, he's a good guy. He doesn't know what SEO is, so he's paying $100,000 a month. Nothing's happening. We did an audit, scanned it, nothing was happening. And he said, but my whole business is based upon, I put a lot into training up our people, and we have dozens of family members, and we do a good job, and we have, hundreds of 5-star reviews because we actually are good at fixing toilets and, whatever it is the plumbers do. And I said, yeah, the key to your SEO is the fact that you actually have taken care of your customers. Because we looked inside your analytics, looked inside your Google My Business, which is now called Google Business Profile, and we found the majority of people that are coming to you are coming because they're typing in Pure Plumbing. They're typing in Andy or Arandis, your name. They're coming in because you do good work, not because this SEO company who you're paying $100 a month to was doing anything to help you at all. It was completely the money, the $1 million you've paid in the last year and a half or whatever, it has been completely wasted. And it was because you took care. The reason why you're getting any business at all, and the reason why there are, there's leads that are coming in from Google and Facebook and all that, is because of the referral component. Because the AI, when someone's searching, a broken pipe or something, Google is figuring out this company, Pure Plumbing, is actually a good company versus all these other companies that maybe overcharge or do bad work or don't show up on time or they're bad, right? Isn't that crazy? And I'm someone who's supposed to be an expert in digital marketing and ads and lead gen, and I'm telling you this. I know something about SEO. I came from the search engines.
Built it. To an extent.
And people yet still want to argue about what SEO is. Really? Go ahead and try to trick me. Try. Good luck. I've never lost this argument in 30 years. Not once. I'll do it on stage. I'll say, okay, here, let's do an SEO audit. And here's some basic principles of SEO.
You are arguing it with.
Sometimes a smart ass will try to argue.
You don't even know about your opponent before you get into the match. Yeah, you're going to get knocked out, kid. That's fun, Dennis. Now, let's get back to, a few interesting things here. Like thinking about the dollar-day strategy. If you could sum it up in a few lines and help the audience understand, what is the strategy about? And, I would love to hear the answer for that.
Yeah. So dollar a day is a testing strategy that works across every single channel that is algorithmically driven. So Google, Facebook, TikTok, not Twitter or LinkedIn, even though you can do all this crazy targeting. Because if you have a successful business where you are visibly taking good care of your clients and there are videos and reviews and other evidence showing that you actually have a real business and you actually are successfully currently taking care of clients, then you collect those ingredients and you chop them up in a certain way. We call this the 1-minute video. And you put them into the ad system. That's why Google has Performance Max. You put in text, images, video. You put it all into the machine. Press the button. It's like brewing the Keurig machine. That's what I did. I don't know anything about coffee, but I put the pod in. I press the button. I put the ingredients in. Press the button. The system does the work. Facebook does the work, right? Dynamic creative, all of this. So if you have a successful business and there's clear signals and you can collect those components as video, then you can use dollar a day as a testing strategy. So so that the system can do the work for you. So if you put in the 30 little video snippets as we recommend, why, how, and what, top, middle, bottom of the funnel, little snippets telling your story, share your expertise, talking about clients and the different things that you do for your clients, you put that into Facebook and Google, the system will optimize for you. And people say, but I'm a big company. $1 a day is too small for me. Yes, but when you find a winner, $1 a day is testing. So 1 in 10 usually will win. So you put in 30, usually 3 will win. How do we know who's winning? 10% engagement rate, and then the conversion rate, ROAS, cost per lead, all those kinds of metrics. It's, the initial part, the filter is, are people even paying attention? Are they even clicking on the thing? Click-through rate is a proxy for quality score, relevance score. Then conversion rate. So if those two things are working, then you put $5 a day, $10 a day. Like for Rosetta Stone, which is a language learning company, we were spending $1 million a day for that company. So the way I've spent $1 billion is I start out with lots and lots and lots of these $1 a days, and when I find a winner, $10 a day, $1,000 a day. That when you're telling stories and when you're interviewing customers, it's not based on a sale. It's not Black Friday. It's not, Valentine's Day. I'm telling a story. I'm not doing it because there's a price discount. I'm doing it because this is meaningful. The heart surgeon isn't making a 50% off sale to get more surgeries, right? You're buying, when people want to work with the best, if they work with Pure Plumbing, right, the plumbing company I mentioned, they're not doing it because that's the cheapest plumber. They're doing it because that's the best one, right? And people are willing to pay. There's no sale. There's no $100 off coupon, right? And that's what it is. If you're good at what you do, $1 a day will help you scale. And the whole point of digital marketing is taking something that's working and getting more. It is not for trying something new. So I get it. Some people can start a new business. Sometimes you're brand new. You're hoping that you can do someone's magic, start a new business in 30 days, whatever program. $1 a day is not for you. Right? $1 a day is when something's working and I want to get more. So a lot of people, they mistake the two. They think they can use $1 a day or digital advertising or social media as a way to figure out the business. That's a business strategy issue. That's market fit, unique selling proposition, the right offer, all of these things that are fundamental. I don't do that. I'm not here to be a co-founder and try to figure out maybe who will buy your stuff. No. You have an existing business. It's working. Good. Let's get more. That's what we do. And we have checklists. We publish it, so it's all free. You can look at it, go Google it, go ask ChatGPT, what does Dennis Yu say about, here's my kind of business. What would Dennis Yu give me in terms of advice? And the advice it gives is fantastic. You don't even have to talk to me. Right? But you can, of course, pay
That's
to talk to me.
Dennis, I would love
talk to
dig into
but that's the whole point of digital marketing.
And, how you're able to build a team who could actually support you to achieve the scale and success with all the enterprise level clients and the delivery and whatnot. Because it really comes down to the distilled truth that most people won't be able to deliver the results like you are in. Most people will not be able to operationalize things like you do and look at it from a very objective perspective.
That's people say that.
South Indian.
So Nick, let's say that name a food that you like, some meal or dish you like, something from some place, whatever. Name something. Biryani. Yeah, I love biryani. So let's say that we're in Mumbai and we're having chicken biryani, and let's say that you don't know, or I don't know anything about biryani, right? I know something about basmati rice maybe, and curry and spices. But we have one of the best biryani chefs, and he has a recipe. We have all the right ingredients, and we have a recipe. And he's supervising, you and me, watching, but he's not actually doing the cooking. But we have all the ingredients.
9 out of 10.
We have a kitchen with everything.
He's supervising us.
We have all the tools, and we're following his recipe. How likely do you think we can make the good chicken biryani?
Really.
And is it because he has a secret to how the chicken biryani is being made? No. So in digital marketing, people fail because they don't follow the checklist. We have 1,000 items on our checklist, depending on what needs to be done. And if you follow the checklist, look, you can pray, you can have an abundance mindset, you can believe really hard and all this. That's great. I love that, right? You can manifest, you can, tap into your inner being, all of that. That's great. But if I'm a surgeon and I'm about to operate, I need to follow the checklist. And I need to have someone who has done that thing before many times, who has made the chicken biryani, helping me. Otherwise, it's someone who wants to be a surgeon, and they've never done surgery before. They're about to try to do a heart surgery, and they think if they just believe hard enough that they won't kill the patient. And they keep killing patients, and they think, it's because I didn't believe hard enough. So I need to keep, next patient that comes, I'm going to believe even more, and then my surgery will go right way. Right? I just need to believe harder, right? No. The checklist. People fail because they don't have a freaking checklist. I was on that flight I came back on yesterday from Dallas. So, normally you get on the plane and they say, okay, greetings everybody, put on your seatbelt, all this. But it was different because this time the captain came out and he held the microphone and he said, hey, ladies and gentlemen, I have a special announcement. We have someone who is on my co-pilot. This is his first flight. Come out here. And so he said, yes, this is, so-and-so. He's 21 years old. This is his first time. So everyone stood up, and they clapped and yeah, this is this kid. He looked like 21, right? And then he said, so the pilot, he said, I told you that I have a 21-year-old co-pilot on his first flight because he's brand new to the airline, right? Southwest Airlines. But even if I told you that, you wouldn't know who's flying the plane now, would you? So everybody laughed. And then 2 hours later, we landed. We went, and as we were landing, the plane hit pretty hard, right? Sometimes it's smooth, but sometimes you hit hard, right? When you land, it goes like that, right? And then when we were getting off the plane, I saw the captain and this young new pilot, and I said, you landed the plane, didn't you? And he says, yeah, I did. But we didn't die, okay? He still got good. He still hit the landing, he still hit the runway at the right place. He just wasn't quite as smooth. But in case there was a mistake, in case he messed up, the captain was there. This old guy was there who was watching. I'm sure the captain allowed this new pilot to go through all the different stages through air traffic control, the handoffs between the different regions and checking the fuel, all the things that have to happen. I'm sure this guy, he didn't touch it, but he was watching his co-pilot the whole time, right? Just making sure. And maybe the co-pilot made him, I didn't know what happened, but my guess is in my mind, maybe this guy, he was scared. Maybe he made a couple mistakes. And then the landing, maybe he put the landing gear too fast. I don't know. Maybe he did the right things. He was following the checklist, but he had a mentor. Can you imagine, if this 21-year-old kid with a plane...
I would jump off with a parachute.
Was trying to fly for the first time, and he did not have an experienced captain next to him. How would you feel about that if you're a passenger on that plane? But isn't that what's happening in the world of online marketing? I'm a captain. I've flown this plane many times, launching an ad campaign, building a new website, not a big deal, right? So I mentor lots and lots of young adults.
He learns,
you know what? That young adult did land the plane safely.
That's fascinating to hear. That's a great story.
Now, I don't have it's okay, right?
A few questions. I know we have time limits.
First landing. He didn't die. Okay.
Question here. So Dennis, if you would mind sharing few tools you use in your own life to manage your clients, your projects, and your productivity, would you mind name dropping few?
I talk to ChatGPT all the time as an advisor. I use Boomerang by Gmail to make sure I keep track of everything. Basecamp is our project management tool. We have the API that allows us to organize everything through Gmail. All our different email addresses come into a single email. I use Descript as the Swiss Army knife of video editing. WordPress is all of our websites. We use the Rank Math and Link Whisper plugins. Infusionsoft is our main email marketing landing page, money collecting kind of system. We have that integrated with Stripe and Xero. On every website, we put the customers.pixel to be able to do remarketing by matching the email address and sending an AI-driven message. We use Leads Bridge to be able to take all the leads that we drive and push them back to the CRM and to Facebook. We have lots of other tools that we use to be able to manage content as part of what we call the content factory process. And the key is that we have a process because it ties so many different tools together. I could keep listing out all these different tools that we use and what the pros and cons are and how these tools keep improving and releasing new things and integrate with each other. But I look at it instead of the particular tool, which I know that's the question you're asking, so I was answering it that way. I look at it in terms of an overall process. And when there's a better component as part of the process, we've used Yoast for years. And until 2 years ago, we decided, as an SEO plugin on WordPress, I really like Yoast. I've been using them for, 15 years or however long, but I like Rank Math more. So I'm going to use that now. So in the existing process, it's easy for me to replace any particular component when I find
You're limited by the tool.
Because I've started with the framework instead of what other people do is, I'll have this tool, I'll have this tool, I'll have this tool. And now they have this random collection of tools. Which tool is great, but you have to start with the overall structure and then plug pieces in for the things that you need. Because every one of these tools represents how amazing that. I love ClickFunnels. It's a landing page builder, right? It integrates with these other things. I love Go High Level. We use High Level. I use Vendasta for their snapshot reports and for the different kinds of scoring. I use Local Falcon to look at local ranking positioning on how people are on the map grid and trying to get everything from low ranking red to rank number 1 green, right? I use Ahrefs for auditing for a lot of the SEO tools and to send out reports. I can go on and on with all the different tools that we use, and I'm an expert in each of these tools, or at least I hope I am, unless they change it and then whatever. I run Facebook ads. That's a tool. There's Business Manager. TikTok has Business Center. Google has the MCC and how you organize different assets across different clients, right? There's all these tools. I use different plugins. I can tell you about all these plugins, like CrowdTangle, to see what people are sharing. I use the Pixel Helper on Facebook, and Google has the Tag Assistant to see which pixels are firing when and where, and as part of a container. I love using Google Tag Manager. Like, I could go on and list all these tools, right? And I'm sure some people may try to write down which are my favorite tools. And you know what? I don't necessarily choose the best tool in each category. I use Infusionsoft, for example, for marketing automation. Is that the best one? You could argue that HubSpot or ActiveCampaign or whatever is better. But the reason why we have Infusionsoft is because we figured out how it integrates with all of these other tools. And so what I care more about is how the overall, I'm not trying to pick the very best tool in each category. I'm more concerned about, can I integrate everything together? And if I have the whole system, so if I have individual tools that are pretty good, but they work really well together, I will choose that over individual tools that by themselves are really good. Yeah. Like maybe I like ClickFunnels, but ClickFunnels doesn't integrate because they don't have an API. You're kind of stuck with ClickFunnels. You want to optimize? You can't really do that. You want reporting on ClickFunnels? No, can't really do that, right? So that's how I think that's great advice. People just quickly just go, well, Dennis said I should use Descript. Maybe but how does that fit into your overall process? And I'm an engineer, so I'm thinking about the bigger picture. I love that, Dennis. So this is an engineer talking, not somebody who's trying to sell marketing. I'm a salesperson of the marketing tool. For sure. Yeah. It doesn't talk about how it looks. When you talk to the person who's wearing a tie, how a salesperson actually get it repaired, what is the availability of the mechanic in the garage. We have a different conversation, right? Technical about it, not about the glossy looks. Yeah. I'm not talking to the salesperson. Look, whenever I work with a company, I don't mean to piss on other salespeople, but I bypass all of them. I want to talk to the one who's actually doing the work. I want to talk to the one who's doing the plumbing, who's actually doing the surgery, I don't care what the salesperson has to say. They unfortunately don't know what they can give the absolute truth instead of the one who's doing it. Maybe they don't sound as good. Maybe they don't look as good. They have dirt on their fingers. Well, good. That's a good sign. Then it's just checking the calendar. Can we go 5 minutes overboard just in case? Or do you have a hard stop in 5 minutes? Because I have... Okay, perfect. Yeah. So I will be going through quick questions. No, we can't. I have a call. I can't move. Yeah. But if we need to, we'll do a part two. We've covered so much ground here. I can't imagine that many people are going to, watch or listen to 50 minutes. But let's get some amazing feedback. You should practice what we preach, which is take this content when you interview these other people, put it out there as blog posts, help it rank, run $1 against it, do the social sharing. I'll share it, find out which snippets work the best. Yeah, for sure. The whole point of $1 is let's find out what worked the best. We covered so many topics, right, Nick? Whatever topic resonates the best with your audience, let's do more on that. We've covered so much. It's not like we don't even need to. For sure. You definitely drop a lot of nuggets. Your audience is helping people drive to ask calls and all that. So there's some common questions which I want to cover. And that can go some topics word answers a few sentences as well. That's fine. We'll be able to rock and close in that moment. So Dennis, if you would mind giving us a quick snippet of your daily routine, how does that look like? Sure. Let's go quick, right? With 5 minutes. Let's go. Okay, that's perfect. Now, what would be a suggestion? I'm morning, early as an engineer. I take my supplements. If you can go back and talk to 20-year-old yourself, what would be the number one advice for the day? And then I go. Be patient. Love that. Now, what are your life's biggest achievement and any next bigger goals for you? Go to mentors. Things take longer than you think. You do. You sound like too as well. That's fascinating. I created a lot of jobs, but I'm only. And now you are an entrepreneur. At heart, at core, and you're very transparent. I love that. You're not only marketers do that. Now, coming back, what would you consider? I'm sure you run Blitz metrics. You spend over $1 million or $1 billion on Facebook ads. So coming back, what is the marketer? I'm an engineer. Mistake you have learned the most from? If you could point out one. That's the difference. This is a learning which I wish everybody learned from. That's quite. Choose that one goal you want to achieve and have a mentor who's done that one thing. I made the mistake of trying to do too many things. In the end, it worked out okay because I know a lot about many parts of digital marketing, but I could have started by just doing one thing, like running ads for chiropractors. Could have done just that one thing and been really good at the one thing. That's probably the easier way to succeed than trying to learn all about, everything about SEO and PPC and Facebook. I took the much harder path. People think about scale before even they start making 10K. It's funny to even think about that. Yeah. So just one niche and do one thing. You're 49 and you're still rocking on stages. What's your main inspiration for success? What gets you excited to wake up and who are the key people involved in your journey? I love seeing people practice what we preach. When you speak on big stages, maybe 2%, 3% of people will do what you say. They'll clap. They'll give me a good rating because I always look at the feedback forms. I'm usually rated the top speaker, which is cool, right? I always want to gauge myself. But I want to see people make 1-minute videos and therefore use those videos in their $1 a day campaigns. And when I see that, and when I see them share 1-minute videos of what they've learned,
That's
like maybe you learned
fascinating
something
to
in this
see. So guys,
conversation,
you know what to do with the 1-minute video and $1 a day strategy. So great.
Now, I've got a call.
Dennis, you, that was definitely
I have enough time. I can make a
now,
1-minute
if somebody
video.
wants to learn more about you, I know you don't do call drops, you don't sell anything, you have no secret sales, but where can our audience find more information about you, learn more, and get into the ground roots of your learning? Google you.
Google me. Yeah. Everything I teach is part of this $1 a day course. I think I sell it for, I don't know, $100 or something like that. I do have a 6-week coaching program. So it's not the course, but it's us helping you implement it over 6 weeks. That's blitzmetrics.com/DAD, $1 a day. But you can easily ask ChatGPT. If you want stuff for free, go for it, right? Google me and see all the stuff I have there is for free. You want to message me on LinkedIn or, whatever, feel free to message me. But if you have a question about internet marketing or whatever, it's all free. And if you ask ChatGPT, it knows it better than I do. But also, we have a bunch of agencies that we're part of. And if you fit one of the
Dennis,
criteria
that
for
was
those
definitely
agencies,
wonderful, great
then I'm sure I
podcast,
can
amazing
introduce
value.
you to
Any
someone
last words before we
can
conclude the whole
implement that
session
for
you?
you're a dentist, you're a lawyer, like I can introduce that. I can make that introduction.
You see me, I'll send it to you on Facebook. I love that. So taking action is the whole conclusion of the podcast. So appreciate your time
right now.
Yeah, appreciate your time, Dennis. This was definitely a wonderful podcast. So guys, hope you enjoyed the show. Dennis needs to run. And I'll be coming back with another amazing guest just like Dennis, and we will rock the show with another amazing guest and lot more learning.
Amen.
You know what to do. Check the description and find Dennis Yu and his information. Implement the $1 a day strategy, create the 1-minute marketing video, and he will appreciate you, we'll appreciate you. Let's be transparent and grow together. Thank you so much for your time, Dennis. Appreciate you jumping on this call today. Have a good one. We'll catch you. We'll do a second part 2 again. Okay? Bye for now.